Okay, hello.
Okay.
We need.
Good afternoon. George and Akira have written today's ceremony for each other. For those of you watching the ceremony on the internet, after the wedding, the live stream will continue with a toast and the cutting of the wedding cake. If the live stream is disrupted for any reason, there will be a recording of the ceremony available on George's YouTube channel. The address for that channel is on the wedding website, which is listed in their wedding announcement. On George's YouTube channel, there are also videos of the toasts from Randy and Kazumi, the fathers of the groom and bride. For the entrance of the bride, George's son Emery will be playing entr'acte from the opera Carmen by Georges Bizet. I am deeply honored to be here as the officiant for Akira and George's wedding. This is a remarkable event and a remarkable time. A timeless expression of love and commitment, anxiety and upheaval. It's a moment of joy that is a gift they have given us all. As you know, if you read all the information on the wedding website, I worked with Akira 18 years ago when I wisely hired her to be my clerk in the trial court in Multnomah County. I knew Akira would be good at the job, but she exceeded my expectations. And more than being a great clerk, smart, organized, wonderful at managing lots of people in stressful situations, Akira did, but apparently Akira always does. She saw things that might be done better and made improvements, all with great diplomacy. She also became my dear friend, and we continue to meet for lunch over the years since. I've seen her grow professionally and be a bar leader, working tirelessly for justice, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I saw Akira become a mother and saw her as a loving daughter, increasingly devoted to her parents' well-being. And Akira became a wise counselor to me, ever dearer to my life. My life is blessed because Akira is in it. I had met George at one or more bar functions, but didn't really get to know him until he and Akira were dating. I was very protective of Akira, as you might imagine, and I told George he had better be good to her, or he would have me to answer to. So far, George, I think you're doing fine, but it still stands. Then I learned that George shares my love of fishing, although he may be in his own category of fishing infatuation. I have been fishing with George. You can learn a lot about a person in a fishing boat. That was the first place I saw George with his kids, mindful always for their safety and well-being, but also entrusting them with serious responsibilities that let them develop their skills and self-confidence, like driving the boat on the Columbia River at buoy time. Perhaps the greatest testament I can give, other than that George makes Akira happy, is that George was genuinely happy for me when I was catching more fish than he was on Lake Merwin. No bruised ego, no grumbling or excuses. If you have spent any time fishing with other people, you know this really is a remarkable thing. Akira and George are truly wonderful people, and we are so very happy they have found each other to share life with. And here I'm reminded of something that Fred Rogers, otherwise known as Mr. Rogers of the neighborhood, said when he received the Lifetime Achievement Award. He said, "So many people have helped me come here to this night. Some of you are here, and some are far away, and some are even in heaven. All of us have special ones who have loved us into being." He asked the audience to take 10 seconds with him to think of the people who have, as he said, helped you become who you are, those who have cared about you and wanted what was best for you in life. None of us got here on our own. We are loved into being. Akira and George were loved into being by many people, including the family and friends here today and those from afar. As Akira and George put together this live stream virtual wedding, they shared that the hardest part has been keeping the live ceremony as small as possible for everyone's safety, to the exclusion of others they deeply love. And they have asked me to express their appreciation for the presence and support of each of you joining us today over the internet, and to reaffirm their promise for a live celebration when it is safe again. Let me introduce those who are present at today's ceremony. First, we have our bride, Akira Heshiki, and the groom, George Guyer. We have the children of the bride and groom, Emery Yu Guyer, Mika Wisher Heshiki, Amelia Yu Guyer, also known as Millie, and Asa Elizabeth Heshiki. The parents of the bride, Kazumi and Rikupo Heshiki, are here. George's father, Randy Guyer, and his wife, Mary Jane Guyer, are attending virtually from Baker City today. And George's mother, Diane Marie Guyer, is also attending virtually. She is attending from Oregon City. And the sister of the groom and her family, Danielle Ramsey and her husband Kevin, and their daughters Emma, Eleanor, and Evelyn Ramsey, are also attending virtually from Oregon City. The bride's attendants today are Ann Sue and Kahala Orion. The groom's attendants are Bob and Linda Cyber. I now ask you to bow your heads and join with me in a moment of prayer. Dearly beloved, we have come together today in the presence of the divinity inherent in love and in kindness, and in all things good in the world, to witness and bless the joining together of Akira and George. They have chosen this day to join with each other in union of heart, of body, and of mind, to become as one, for the help and comfort given one another in prosperity and adversity, so that they may nurture their marriage in the knowledge of their love for each other, of the love of their children, and of the love of their family and friends. And so let us begin today, this day, by taking a moment to fill our thoughts and our hearts with love. And let us hold love for George and Akira. Let us share together in the love they have for each other, as now we celebrate their marriage. It is a common practice in many traditions to begin a ceremony with an act of cleansing, to prepare our bodies, hearts, and souls for the sanctity of the ritual. Today, George and Akira have chosen to begin their wedding with a ceremony adopted from a traditional Okinawan water ritual, the ritual of Miji-Muni. They will have water applied to their foreheads to purify their departure as individuals and to wish them eternal happiness as their two families join together. There will be 3 readings this afternoon. The first reading is the first stanza of a longer poem written by Kazumi from his book Fireweed Blossoms. This was chosen by his daughter Akira and will be read by his granddaughter, Mika.
When Oji-chan published Fireweed Blossoms, he chose to dedicate his book of haiku with the following inscription: to his wife, my Obata. Lord Ikuko, a better half for more than 50 years. It is from the blessing of the love of her parents that Mom possessed me a shared poem written by her father in a book dedicated with his love to her mother. The haiku is titled Blossom. Out of thin air, where snow used to be, the blossoms of a crabapple.
Thank you, Mika. The second reading is a poem written by George, which will be read by Bob.
First, a brief explanation. Earlier in their love, George wrote Akira a list, 100 things for us to do together. To give the poem, I'm reading some context. Number 93 on their list was love each other. 93 has become their shorthand way of saying I love you. So often during the day, one of them will text the other 93, and the other will reply 93 too, to say I love you too. When George asked Akira to marry him, the ring he presented was engraved with the number 93 on the inner band. And so with that, the poem George gave to Akira. 9:30, a love poem. Twice a day, the clock and I remember that you love me. And 2 minutes later, I hope you see that I love you too, at 9:52.
The third reading is a collection of answers from Emery, Mika, Amelia, and Asa to questions written by George and Akira. These will be read by Anne and Minnie.
When asked what one quality does Akira love most about George, Asa said, he is brave and adventurous.
When asked, what do you think George loves most about Akira? Asa said, she is kind and loving.
When asked what George and Akira do when the kids are not around, Mika answered, I have no idea. LOL. Emery added, there are rooms.
When asked what both George and Akira have in common, Mika said they love us both a lot.
Billy answered, they need to learn how to cook better.
Now, by contrast, Emery says Akira's food is good when it comes from Trader Joe's.
George and Akira would like to know that this criticism comes from food critics who basically agree with us. Chips and cheese, pasta with butter, tomato sauce, and Trader Joe's fried rice.
When asked what makes them happy about being part of the family, Millie answers, movie nights. And Asa answered, Mika, Millie, Mom, George, and Emery.
When asked what advice they have for Akira to live happily ever after with George, Mika's wise advice was, get used to fishing.
When asked what advice they have for George to live happily ever after, Mika says, after you complain that you are hungry, get used to her saying, hi, hungry, I'm a hero.
The presentation of offerings is another common ritual shared among many faiths. In the Catholic faith, as George was raised, there is a presentation of the gifts before the consecration of the Eucharist. There are 3 offerings in the ceremony this afternoon. In a traditional Okinawan wedding, the bride and groom may make a hamaguchi offering to express sincere thanks. The offering is usually a branch from the sakaki tree, decorated with paper and hemp, and represents the eternal nature of our spirits and hearts and our connection to nature. Today, George and Akira are presenting a branch from the ginkgo they planted together in their yard a few years ago. They offer this branch as a symbol of their future, knowing that each day the ginkgo in their yard will grow with their love. Each fall, they will watch the tree slowly change from green to yellow and shed its leaves. And each spring, they will watch it fill with life as it awakens from winter. They know that even though they have seen this tree almost every day, one day they will be surprised to see how that small sprig grew into a large, strong, beautiful tree. In Okinawa, bouquets and vast arrangements of flowers are a vital part of the wedding ceremony. Often flowers are presented to the parents by the wedding couple in gratitude of the care and support that have been given. Today, George and Akira will be presenting flowers to their parents. George has asked his lifelong friends, Bob and Linda, to receive his gift on behalf of his parents. Thank you, Elsa. And finally, Akira and George would like to make a gift to their children in celebration of their love for each of them and their union as a family. The kids chose pendants of the sun, moon, stars, and a heart. George and Akira have written their own wedding vows, and we will begin with Akira sharing her vows.
George, I make these promises as we stand together now for the rest of my life. So happy you've chosen me to be your partner, and honored that you've chosen to share your life, your kids, and your family with me. In marrying you, I also gained 2 kids who reflect back to me so much of the wonderful qualities that I see in you. In Emery, I see your experimental side, trying new things, and also the unwavering and fearless commitment to values and people that mattered, even if that commitment sometimes did change. In Millie, I see your love and reverence for the history and past that make us who we are. The love of your hometown of Patriots, the stories and memories that come from the generations of your family, and acknowledgement that change can be hard. George, I promise that I will love and care for Emery and Millie, provide for them as I do my own, to be their emotional support and strength, and love them with my heart forever. I also promise that I will laugh and cry with you. I promise to honor you, protect you, and support you in every way. I promise to be compassionate in good times and bad. I promise to try to remember to close the light, turn off the light and close the door to the laundry room. I promise to be mindful that you like to hunt and fish, and that although I may at times be justifiably annoyed by the amount of time that it takes away from me, I promise to support you in doing the things that bring you joy and the things that remind you of your humanity and your place in the world. I promise to go full boil with you in love, adventure, and kids' birthday parties for as long as we both can stand it. I promise that I'll be there to comfort you and rejoice with you through all the complexities of life that we'll face together as a family. George, my love for you and our kids is unshakable. And with all my love, I take you to be my husband. I will love you through good and bad, through joy and sorrow. Together, we will face all of life's experiences and share one another's dreams and goals. And I promise to be your equal partner in a long, honest relationship for as long as we both shall live.
George has written his vows to Akira by borrowing words from some of the love letters he has written to Akira before. For the record, Akira wanted me to know that Akira thinks this is plagiarizing, since she had to write her vows.
Akira, I stand here with you today in awe of your beauty, kindness, and love. I feel blessed that you have chosen me to be a part of you. I feel blessed that you have shared your most precious things, your children, with me. I am so happy to have been and to be a part of Mika's and Asa's lives. I see your smile and Mika's smile, and I hear your laugh and Asa's laugh. I hear your voice when Mika sings, and I see your mischievousness when Asa plays and teases. I promise to love and cherish Mika and Asa. And when they don't do their chores, in the spirit of feminism and gender equality, I will do my best to be a proper wicked stepfather and to ground them as if they were my own children. And no matter how difficult things may be, I promise never to let my love for you be a chore, but instead, I promise to find the joy in each moment we share, together in life and laughter and love, in both the special moments and the moments of mundane. I promise always to be honest with you and to tell you if you hurt me or ask more than I can give. I promise to make time together for bubbles of joy and playfulness. I promise never to yell at you unless you're about to get hurt by a car or a bear or something. I promise to bring you coffee every morning I can and to tell you I love you every night before we fall asleep, even if I am far away from you. Know then that you can always hear my words whispered to you in the wind. I most solemnly promise that you will never have to learn how to drive with the clutch in my Jeep or steer my boat when I'm picking up crab traps. I most solemnly promise that you will never have to pluck anything or gut anything that I have caught or killed, and that you will never have to poop in a hole in the woods. I recognize and appreciate your ancestors worked hard and sacrificed much so you, their future generation, could have the luxury of indoor plumbing. Akira, as I stand here today, with tears of joy in my eyes and only love in my heart, I promise that I will grow with you, love you, cherish you, and always work hard to be the man you see me to be. Akira, it is with unbounded joy I take you to be my wife. I promise today to hold your hand tight when things are good and when things are bad, and to never let go. I promise today, as I promised you when we took our first steps toward our life together, to keep walking forward with you, one step at a time, with all our hope and love, until we reach alone together.
Now that Akira and George have exchanged their vows, I ask each of you to affirm your commitment to provide them with your love and support in their marriage. So when I ask the next question, I ask whether you are here in person or if you are watching on the internet, to please respond loudly with the words, "We will." Will all of you here today, witnessing these promises, do all in your power to uphold George and Akira in their marriage?
No.
And now we have the exchange of rings. The circle of the wedding ring is really the best shape that will fit on a human finger. Let your love for each other rest comfortably in the rings you have chosen for each other. Akira, please give George the ring you have chosen for him and place it on his finger with these words. George, I give you this ring
George, I give you this ring
as a symbol of my vow
as a symbol of my vow,
and with all that I am and all that I have,
with all that I am and all that I have,
to honor and to become a part of
to honor and become a part of
you and your family.
you and your family.
And George, please give Akira the ring you have chosen for her. And place it on her finger with these words. Akira, I give you this ring
Akira, I give you this ring
as a symbol of my vow
as a symbol of my vow,
and with all that I am
and with all that I am
and all that I have,
and all that I have,
to honor and to become a part of
to honor and to become a part of
you and your family.
you and your family.
Now that Akira and George have given themselves to each other by their most solemn vows, and with the joining of hands and the giving and receiving of rings, I proudly pronounce that they are husband and wife. Those that love has joined together, let no one put asunder. Akira, you may kiss your groom, and George, you may kiss your. And Amelia will now sing Utro from Adventure Time. After that, we'll have toasts to the bride and groom and the swooshing of the cake to end the celebration.
Come along with me and the butterflies and bees. We can wander through the forest and do so as we please. Come along with me to a cliff under a tree, where we can gaze upon the water as an everlasting dream. All of my collections, I'll share them all with you. Maybe by next summer, we won't have changed our tune. I still want to be with the butterflies and bees, making up new numbers and living so merrily. All of my collections, I'll share them all with you. I'll be here for you always, and always be with you. Come along with me, and the butterflies and bees. We can wander through the forest and do so as we please.
And now we have toasts from Bob and Hazel.
Okay.
You didn't practice out the whole part.
Yes.
Akira and George. And all who are here. Oh, we're gonna wait. Okay. Sorry. Talking before we talk. That's all.
No, it's all.
Okay. All right. So I met Akira many years ago, and we were in an Asian women's group, and it disbanded at some point, and I'm not sure how, but in the last few years, Akira came back into my life, and it was one of the best things that could have ever happened to me. I don't have a sister, and Akira doesn't have a sister, and I truly feel like in Akira, I've found a sister. And family is so important, and family can come in all different forms, and as we've seen today and heard today, it's one of the most beautiful things that helps us through everything. And so I have, in the spirit of the ginkgo ceremony, a poem by, it's not really a poem, but Albert Camus has this beautiful quote that I think really speaks to the spirit that I see in George and Akira. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. And that makes me happy, for it says that no matter how hard the world pushes against me, within me, there's something stronger, something better, pushing right. I see that in the two of you. You're both amazing with your fortitude, your dedication, Akira, your brilliance in work, George, 2 lawyers, but you're both so much more than that. People wouldn't even know necessarily because you're both so creative and loving, and you just push through all the adversity. And I think that you really embody what's most beautiful in this world, which is really beauty and compassion and love. So cheers, raise a toast to this beautiful couple and a journey with their family. Love you.
So 3 weeks ago, I got a message from George asking for me to prepare to present a toast. And I'm not a great public speaker, so I, of course, went to the internet and Google searched toasts. And the first thing that it said was, whatever you do, start early. Begin at least 2 months before the ceremony, writing your speech. So if this seems a little half-baked, in about 5 weeks, it'll be really good. So we'll post it to George's YouTube channel then. If the task isn't hard enough because of the short notice, George and Akira both peppered the ceremony and their vows with lovely light humor, which, you know, the best man speech is normally only memorable for its humor. So that means that I kind of have to amp up the irreverence level for it to be memorable at all. So here we go. So there are 2 kinds of people in the world. Those that George doesn't trust to give the speech, and those that George shouldn't trust to give the speech. Really, there's 2 kinds of people in the world. There's the kind of person who would hear that early in their relationship, George had written a list called 100 Things for Us to Do Together and think, oh, that is so sweet. And then there are the other people who hear that George wrote a list of 100 things that we could do together and think to himself, I need to get my hands on that list. Well, fortunately, I was able to get my hands on that list. Now, I know what you're thinking. And yes, you are right. Catching, releasing, limiting out, tackle, dry fly, jerkbait, those are all mentioned heavily in the 100 things to do. But actually, they're not all mentioned in terms of fishing. So what I would like to bring to you is this. This is obviously George's version of 100 things that you could do together. Akira, your list of 100 things to do together with George would be different. And that's good. You know, from a Venn diagram standpoint, you'd hope for a lot of overlap, but without some difference, neither of you would be challenged to grow and extend yourselves further. I would say that, you know, without the variation that you bring, George wouldn't have traveled nearly as much in the last 5 years. We know that about him. And Akira, without George's differences, I don't know, maybe you wouldn't have learned the benefit of getting up before sunrise in the morning to go out on a boat and not catch anything all day long. or something like that. Anyway, this isn't actually George's list. It's just something I pulled off the internet to prove my point. And I guess that is the point. Only you and George together, you two know what your lists have. You know what is on them, and they can change from time to time, and that's good, as long as you keep that overlap, and as long as number 93 stays the same, right? 93, that's now all of our favorite number that we're going to remember whenever we think of the two of you. So George and Akira, on behalf of all of your family and friends gathered here in person, attending on the internet, or attending simply here in spirit, I look to toast you to your new life together, a celebration of our new favorite numbers, 93 and 932. It's George and Akira.
Cheers.
Cheers.
And now we're on to the cake. I'll make you eat the paper.
All right, ready? All right, we're married.
Congratulations.
Thanks everybody for joining us today, and Bob and Linda and Paula, Kat, and the kids and my parents. This was really amazing, and that's all I have to say. It was really amazing.
Thank you all very much, and for being a part of this special day. Thank each of you for your contributions and for your patience with us over the last month as we've thrown it together. Janice, can't wait to go fishing again.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you for the honor of having me marry your daughter. Thank you all for everything you put in to make this happen. And we wish you all a great day. And we're going to pack up frantically because it's supposed to rain at 3 o'clock.
Don't forget to watch the toasts from the fathers of the bride and groom. They're on the internet.